to Portrait of a Guest. Here today I have Jay Black, and I'll be drawing a portrait of Jay while asking a few random questions. You ready, Jay?
Mm-hmm.
All right, let's get started. So first, I'm going to start here, get the shape of the face. And while I do that, Jay, what would be one word used to describe yourself, and why might one disagree with you?
One word?
One word.
To describe somebody who's probably complex, presumably. Hey, that was one word, huh? That worked. Complex.
Complex?
Yeah.
Would you have anybody that might disagree with that, and why?
Oh, probably. But they'd be wrong. They'd be very wrong.
Now, as I'm getting the shape of the face here, I'm going to ask you your second question. And where is the weirdest place you've ever traveled to, and what has been your favorite experience there?
I've been to some rather weird places. You looking for exotic? You're looking at what? What kind of weirdness do you want me to talk to you about?
I would say exotic, but what's a place that maybe the normal person who doesn't travel as much might not think of?
Well, I was living in China when I got married. And so in order the honeymoon, what we did was we backpacked down to Vietnam, and then back down, down the coast, and then we took the Mekong River up to Cambodia, and then we went over to Siem Reap, where Angkor Wat is.
How was that? That sounds very interesting. That's like that's a trip.
It was an incredible trip. We had all kinds of adventures along the way. Eating shrimp on the beach, cooked to order. Big shrimp like this, big, And so this little old lady would carry a pole, and on one side was a bucket full of crustaceans and fish. The other was a charcoal where she would cook it. And so we asked how much everything was, and then we said, well, what if we just order it all? And the three of us will sit here and eat it. And so she was keen on that, and so we ordered everything, and she cooked it right there on the beach, and that was pretty cool.
Tell me about the first time you learned to tie your shoes. Was it easy, difficult?
I've never learned how to tie my shoes.
Never learned how to tie
your shoes?
your
Have you never
shoes?
noticed?
Wow.
I never wear laces.
Never even have to worry about tripping on laces.
Nope, never.
Have you ever committed a crime, and have you ever been caught for said crime? Or should we not know about it?
How many times have you been in jail, Jay? I got pulled over for a stop sign, actually running 2 or 3. I used to work as, when I was probably a little younger than you, I worked at Stone Mountain Park. And I was a stuntman on the train show, and one day I was late, and so I went a back route and kind of, how you kind of slow down and not do a full stop, but you look quickly both ways and then keep going. Well, a police officer saw me do that 3 times and pulled me over and charged me 3 times running a stoplight or a stop sign. And so I went to court, and I heard that they could do like community service or something like that. And I thought, well, can I work with the people on the radio, because that's what I wanted to do with my life, was going to radio. And they said, sure, just set us up a time and just give us a call. And I never set up a time, and so I was over at Georgia Tech, and there was some kind of random something going on, and they looked at my driver's license and found that I was being asked to be pulled in by the Stone Mountain Police because, I had a warrant out for my arrest. And so I went there, and they put me in this cage, and my girlfriend at the time had to come and bail me out and pay my fine, and that was about it. I was actually pulled into the police station a second time too.
Oh.
Yeah, I was. Well, it takes a little bit of a setup. I was a reporter on in Carrollton, Georgia, and my radio station was in Haralson County, which is the next county over. And so I used to have to go to Carrollton to pick up all my news, but sometimes there was just slow, couldn't find anything. And so I'd go up to Haralson County and I'd stop in at the courthouse and I'd ask the judge if there was anything going on, and he'd, his name's Walthers, Judge Walthers, and he, I think that was his name. Anyway, it's been a while back. And so I went and I interviewed him about this trial that was coming up, and he said, well, we don't get many reporters up here. I said, well, I tell you what, Judge, you just call me. You just call me anytime you got something coming up, and I'll just come up and interview you. And so he goes, well, I'll just send one of my boys to get you. And I said, all right, well, you do that. Well, I ended up quitting that job and going to work on my master's degree and in Kansas. And I was driving through town 27 miles per hour in a 25 mile per hour zone, and I get pulled over. And sure enough, there's a warrant out on my arrest. And I said, what? There can't be, no. And he put me up against the car. He frisked me, wanted to know if there was any guns in my trunk of my car. And it's like, yeah. And I said, are they loaded, son? And then I was like, well, no, because, I just got them in somebody's will a couple days earlier. And so they had to go and take a look at my guns, and that was a .22 rifle and a starter pistol. It wasn't much of anything, And so they took me in and they said, well, there's a warrant out for your arrest. And I said, where would this be? And they said, Haralson County. I said, Haralson County? It was rarely in Haralson County. How could it be Haralson County? I said, now it's like 15 minutes to 5, and I said, well, can we call them up and find out what's going on? And they did, and they got hold of his secretary, who was about 107 years old, and well, what happened was they had a good trial coming up. And the judge sent his boys out to find me and tell me about it, AKA the Sheriff's Department of Haralson County. And so they never stopped that order out there, and it was still there on the books. And here I was in Kansas and not in Georgia anymore, and I had to explain to his secretary on the phone that I was working on my master's degree. You're working on your master's degree? We're so proud of you. It's like, but the thing is, I can't come to Haralson County. She goes, well, no, that trial's over now. And I said, well, can you tell this fine police officer that, about this? And she did, and they dropped the charges, except somehow, don't know how it happened, I had a backlight that was shattered, and so I had to pay the fine for a shattered backlight. And so, yeah, so that was the 2 times I was arrested. Once for running stop signs, and the other because, well, I just wasn't in Georgia anymore.
Both sound incredibly inconvenient.
Yeah, both times.
Moving on, what is the most absurd thing you've heard someone say either about you or about someone else, and how did you react?
I don't think you want me to go down that route, Max. Okay?
It's a good call.
It's about one of us. Say the question again, the weirdest or the outlandish or
Most
what?
absurd, weirdest thing you've ever heard someone say.
I once had somebody write on a student evaluation that I obviously had never been a reporter before. And I was a reporter for like 20 years. And and this was for a freshman class, and so nice to know that I was appreciated for my background.
Especially coming from a freshman.
Especially coming from a freshman. who would spend the next 4 years studying with me because at that time I was the only journalism professor. And I kind of knew who it was.
Change of pace.
Yep.
Do you believe in aliens? How would you describe
As in space
humanity?
aliens?
Some space
As
aliens.
in E.T.?
E.T., not Earth, not of Earth.
I think it would be rather selfish of us to think that we're the only intelligent life in billions and billions of stars. Do they fly around, planet Earth? Which is, by the way, Earth, it's named after dirt, so they fly around this place named after dirt, try to seek intelligence life, or I don't know, any other strange things they'd want to do with us, beam us up or anything. I don't think we're there yet. Because I think that if they have the technology to get here, they don't want to, mess with us. Not until we have the technology to get there. Then we become dangerous.
If one happened to come here today, how would you describe humanity to an alien that has never met us before?
Describe humanity? I don't know if I could describe humanity in a paper, let alone to an alien. If it's one of these take me to your leaders, I'd bring them to the dean. I don't know. Humanity, how to describe humanity? It just means different things to different cultures. And for me to describe what I think humanity would be conflicting to other cultures, and in both internationally and in America. They say that there's 12 different cultures in America alone, and I think that we all have an understanding of what we assume is humanity, and I think most of our assumptions are not always correct.
Got a little trivia question, a little art trivia question for you. What famous painter was also a sculptor, architect, and an engineer?
Da Vinci.
Correct.
Have you ever seen a Da Vinci?
Not in person.
Oh, you should.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What superpower would you want, and how would you get it?
Superpower.
Yeah.
Ooh. How would I get it? Well, it wouldn't be by spider bites because I'm allergic to spider bites. Let's see. Superpower. I think I'd like to have the powers of the Invisible Girl. Because she not only can go invisible, but she can do that invisible force fields, and she can toss invisible stuff at you and knock you down and that sort of thing, or encompass you so that your head with an invisible shield, so you suffocate, and nobody would know that I was doing it. And I might already have that power, Max. So
and we would never know.
This portrait better be good.
There's a lot of pressure on the line for this.
A lot of pressure on the line for this.
Let's see.
I told you to take 30 years off me, so you're giving me like a blonde beard, right?
Right.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
All right.
You could probably call this more of a sketch, perhaps.
Ah, okay.
What is the most exotic food you've ever eaten?
Dog.
Dog. What was dog?
I didn't mean to. I didn't know I was at the time. I was in China, and most of the time when a Westerner goes to China, and you're visiting university or something, they'll always bring out stuff they think Westerners will like, which is like bad hamburgers or French fries or some kind of fried potatoes. Lots of corn. Lots and lots of corn, because apparently all Westerners will eat corn, and so I was working at a university over there, and they wanted to they wanted me to go out and talk to some high schools, and so I went to several high schools over the course of several days, and I noticed that the dean was just not even asking me what I wanted, because all the menus were in Chinese once you get past the big cities. But just ordering me the same thing he would order any other American. And I said, "No, look, I'm out here. I want to try the different cultures. I want to live in the economy while I'm in China, and I want to, try new things." He goes, "You don't want to try new things." No, I said, I'll try anything.
Just so happened to.
He goes, do you have anything? Do you have anything that you won't try? I said, well, I'm not really fond of eating anything that I have a prior experience with. And so, when I first got to China, we went across the street at the university, and they took me to this small mom and pop shop, and they said, what do you want? And I said, well, what about chicken? And so they said, well, they went out and they grabbed a chicken from outside and they brought it in. And I said, well, let me talk to this chicken first, since you're bringing them right past me. And they said, I said, well, chicken, I want you to know that you're going to a better place, which is my belly, and I appreciate you for that. I went back in, and then I started thinking, I really should not have talked to that chicken. And so they brought me out the chicken, and I started thinking, man, I'm such a loser talking to the chicken like that. And so I said, okay, I don't want a prior relationship. So as long as you don't have a prior relationship, you're good. I said, yeah, I'll try anything. Because, I've tried camel, mule, sandworms. Oh, sandworms make a wonderful congee. I tried all of these different things. And, some I like and some I don't. But, that's with anybody's food. And so he said, well, all right, I'll bring you something I don't think you've ever had before. And so he brought it out, and, in the Chinese culture, you put all of these dishes in the middle of the table where they have a lazy Susan and kind of spin it around, right? Right. And so I saw the roast beef, and so I grabbed myself a big old slab of that roast beef and some of that gravy, and I put it on top of my rice, and I started eating it, and everybody started giggling. And I said, what's going on? And they said, do you know what you're eating? I said, I take it it's not roast beef. He goes, no, it's not roast beef, it's dog. And I said, well, dog makes a lovely gravy. I said, what was I going to do then? I didn't have a prior relationship with this dog, so yeah. I don't think that I would. From now on, if I go to China, they say, will you try anything? I'll say, I've already had dog, thank you very much.
Just leave it at that.
Yeah. But the sandworms was pretty weird too. I'm not talking not big old dune sandworms. We're talking about little things like this.
What were those like?
And we were down at the beach in China, and at this, because I love mom and pop shops. And we're trying to figure out the menu, and this fisherman comes in with this big pail. And I look into the pail, and it's all these wiggly things. And so what he did was he took this crochet needle, what looked like a crochet needle to me, and he had two buckets, and he'd pull a bucket out, or a worm out of the bucket, he'd stick the crochet needle all the way through, and then turn it inside out, and slap the guts into the second bucket. Then they'd put, I guess there was 3 buckets, and then put it in the third bucket. And then he'd do that and slap it, one after the other. And I said, what is he doing? What is this? And Sylvia's my wife. She wasn't my wife at the time, but she is now. She goes, that's sandworms. I said, well, how do you eat sandworms? She says, well, it's sandworm congee, which is sort of like rice porridge. How in America, how mom or grandma will fix you chicken soup when you're sick. Yeah, they do congee over there. It's sort of like a rice porridge. And so I said, well, I gotta have this sandworm congee. So it was real good. It was real good. Best congee I ever had. So yeah, I've eaten strange things.
Let's see, and we're finished up with the portrait here, so I'll ask you one more question to end off this interview. It's a good one in my opinion. Kiss, Marry, Kill, Spider-Man edition. Tom Holland, Andrew Garfield, Tobey Maguire.
Kiss, Marry, Kill. I think Tom Holland is way too young for me, so I'm going to have to go with Kiss, Tobey Maguire. What was the other two?
Andrew Garfield and Tom Holland.
Marry Andrew Garfield and kill Tobey Maguire. Which is odd because Tobey Maguire is like my favorite Spider-Man, but this is Kiss, Marry, Kill, and so that's the way it came out.
I'd probably say Tom Holland, or Andrew Garfield is probably my favorite Spider-Man.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Oh man, he's a little whiny guy. You know?
I think Tom Holland's a little whiny.
Yeah. Well, you know, he's a 30-year-old playing at 18. He'd be whiny too.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Are you ready to see this portrait?
No. Can I leave now?
You can if you'd like.
Oh, let me see it.
This is more of a show.
Wait a minute. Show it to Katie
Show it to the
first.
camera first.
Katie, what do you think? She's giving me the thumbs up. Wow! I know that guy. That is one good-looking man. Thank you for your time.
You're welcome. Thank you for your time.
All right.
And that concludes Portrait of a Guest. We have a happy guest and a good-looking portrait.